Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gary Leo Criswell, and I'm going to be introducing DEMI and my Project Nexus. So, what is DEMI? Most AI assistants can answer questions, but they forget the world around them. That doesn't really work well for a living roleplay setting where characters, relationships, and storylines can develop over hundreds of scenes. This, on the left screen, is DEMI. She's a character inside Shattered Realms, but behind her is Project Nexus, a memory system designed to preserve continuity. That is on the right. Nexus remembers what happened, it learns what those events mean, and then DEMI turns that memory back into conversation. So I'm going to pull up a thread over here. This page is episodic memory. It represents one specific experience, who was present, what happened, the order it happened in, what changed, and what remains unresolved. Nexus, over here, also updates profiles, like Alice. So if I switch to Alice, player characters, Alice. This is semantic memory. Instead of representing one scene, it accumulates durable knowledge across many scenes, identity, behavior, abilities, relationships, preferences, injuries, and even current status. An episode says, "This happened." Semantic memory says, "This is what we now know happened." So I'm going to demonstrate how DEMI uses this information. So in my chat over here, DEMI, what happened when Alice answered Ayano's hollow bait in Zerdonia. And she is going to look up this information. She's going to get all of that information as well as she can, and she's going to compile it and figure out what the best answer is. So she says, Alice answered the holobait hard. She came in under its influence, entered the predator, gave off heavy Minos-like pressure, killed and consumed the laughing hollow that was forming a small Cero, and then predatorily turned toward Ayano. After that, the fight got messier. 3 hollows were still active, and the pack shifted tactics to exploit the conflict between Alice and Ayano instead of just attacking blindly. She isn't just generating a generic summary about Alice, she is retrieving a particular episode. Nexus recorded Alice arriving, consuming a hollow, turning on Ayano, and then leaving the combat unresolved with the 3 hollows still active. So, let's continue on. After she's activated, I can actually continue to talk to her more and see what else she can provide us. So why did that become dangerous for Ayano? And what is unresolved right now? So it's going to take her a second to compile again. She's going to keep that same sort of context of what we're already talking about and continue on. So it became dangerous because Alice didn't just arrive as backup. The holobait pulled her into the predator. She consumed one of the hollows, and then her predatory focus turned towards Ayano. So Ayano suddenly had the remaining hollow pack and Alice's hollow-like pressure becoming a threat in the same street fight. What's unresolved right now is the actual outcome of that split. 3 hollows are still active, wounded, or repositioning, and they've started exploiting the conflict between Alice and Ayano instead of just attacking directly. So the big open danger is whether Ayano can survive, contain, or redirect Alice while the pack keeps pressing the advantage. This also demonstrates conversational context. I didn't repeat Alice's name, the location, or the scene. Demi understands the follow-up, but grounds her factual answer in the stored episode rather than treating the conversation itself as canon. So let's go a little bit deeper with this. Demi, looking across Alice's history, is this behavior out of character for her or consistent with what we know about her? Be specific. So now I'm going to prompt and see what I can get from her, strictly just based off of Alice, and see if this is within Alice's wheelhouse of her character. She should be able to look through everything and demonstrate this as a good semantic memory. So she says, it looks consistent with what we know about Alice, not out of character. The big reason that Nexus already establishes Alice's hollow nature responds strongly and literally to hollow bait. On the volcanic island with Inuzev, hollow bait pulled her into major hollow link danger, and her rituals/rebirth were tied to consuming or channeling hollows. Later, the Soul Menders completed her metamorphosis by feeding her a hollow offering, which reinforces that hollow consumption is part of her current nature, not a random new behavior. So in Zidonia, Alice answering the bait, entering the predator, releasing heavy mineral slide pressure, and consuming the laughing hollow all fit the pattern. The dangerous part is not that she reacted to bait, the dangerous part is that her predatory focus turned toward Ayano, who is someone Alice has also protected before, including carrying her into North Star Castle after a spar. That makes it emotionally messy, but still consistent. Alice has protective bonds, yet her hollow/vengeance weapon side can override or distort them under the right trigger. Now we've changed the question. I'm not asking what happened in one thread, I'm asking what that event means when compared to Alice's wider history. Demi can draw from Alice's accumulated profile, her hollow nature, predatory transformations, soul consumption, pragmatism, protective relationships, and previous behavior under pressure. That is semantic memory. Many individual episodes become a coherent understanding of a character. So, let's go another step into it. Demi does Project Nexus also confirm that Alice intentionally chose to attack Ayano and no longer recognizes her. Recognizes her. So Demi doesn't just make things up. Demi will try to ensure that what she is telling you is the truth. She's not going to just assume things that are out there. So she says, no, Project Nexus confirms Alice attacked towards Ayano after ending the predator under hollow bait influence, but it does not confirm that Alice intentionally chose Ayano as herself, or that Alice no longer recognizes her. The supported read is narrower. Alice's hollow/vengeance weapon side was triggered hard enough that her predatory focus turned on Ayano despite their prior bond. Whether that was a conscious choice, loss of recognition, instinctive targeting, or distorted perception is still unconfirmed. This is just as important as remembering. Nexus distinguishes between what was shown and what was merely implied. The episode confirms that Alice attacked toward Ayano while in a predatory state. It does not conclusively establish her intent or whether she permanently stopped recognizing Ayano. Demi should preserve that uncertainty instead of inventing an answer. Good memory isn't only about knowing things, it is also about knowing what remains unknown. So, let's, besides what we have in Nexus, we also have the personal memory. So Demi, remember that I like to have close combat encounters rather than ranged ones. So, got it. Alright, so with that, based on what you remember about me, why should I follow Alice and Ayano's current story? A little confused. She is not perfect, obviously. There are some bugs in her code and some things that are not fully tested out. Remember is one of her trigger words to essentially say, hey, remember this. It's not a perfect world, but there is a lot that goes on with it. So if I say, Demi, why should I follow Alice and Ayano's current story? Let's see if that'll work out. You should follow Alice and Ayano's current story because it is one of the more volatile character threads right now. Alice badly injured Ayano in a spar, then personally rushed her to North Star Castle and kept her alive while with white hair till Ursa stabilized her. That leaves a messy bond between them. Violence, responsibility, trust, fear, and obligation all tangled together. It also has wider consequences. Ayano is now tied to Alice's Varian racecourse project as its manager, while Alice choices around her keep showing both terrifying cruelty and strange care. So if you like stories where a relationship can become an alliance, disaster, recovery arc, or political problem, depending on the next few scenes that we're in, is worth watching. What sort of in combat encounters do I like? I'm trying to get the prompt of this is what okay. You like close combat encounters more than ranged ones. Up close, messy, blades and bruises range. Very father coded, honestly. She does have a aspect to where I am father, my wife is mother, and then my brother is uncle within this, because Demi herself is supposed to be almost childlike because she's learning along with us. She's learning along with everything. Demi has a player-specific memory. Here, I gave her a preference. She can combine that personal knowledge with Nexus's world knowledge to give me a bit of a relevant answer. That preference is about me. It doesn't make it doesn't become world canon. Player memory, recent conversation, and established lore remain separate. So now I'm going to go into the Nexus, and we'll just look at Alice. So, under the hood, Nexus doesn't store the scene as a vague block of text. It creates a source-linked timeline, tracks entity impacts, records the current state of things, assigns confidence, preserves unresolved questions, and these can impact the flow into profiles for like Alice, Ayano, the hollows themselves as they get stored in here as well. Locations, items, factions, and even concepts. These are review-ready archival notes. Nexus assists continuity, while the staff in the server still determines final canon. So, the full loop is simple. A roleplay scene becomes an episode. Episodes build lasting knowledge. Demi retrieves that knowledge naturally, remembers the player that she is speaking to, and refuses to fill gaps with invented canon. Project Nexus gives my server, Shattered Realms, a memory. DEMI gives that memory a voice. This has been such a great project to work on, and it is growing every single day. When we started, this graph was small, maybe a third of this size. And using this Obsidian Vault tied in with a SLM of 14B from Llama, I've been able to create something that surpasses the just baser form of NPC contact and interaction, and it proves on a baser level that this can be done on a larger scale, because not only is it through DEMI, but there are many different NPCs in my server that are able to act, want, need, and show the life that is behind this place. Not just the action, but the actual story that drives everything behind the scenes. I thank you for your time. I thank you for taking a moment to listen to me ramble about a passion project that I've been working on for a while now. It is not only a thing that I love, my players talk to DEMI all the time. They ask her so many questions about what she feels about their character, how they can do better to display this or that of their character, purposes of factions and of places and events that take place within this world that they have just built. And it is so wonderful to see all of this together. I hope that this has given you a brighter aspect on how semantic and episodic memory can be used to push the boundaries of NPC interaction to a point to where it does not have to be a Khajiit has where if you have coin. It can be a deeper dialogue with our players and player base. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. But this is Gary Leo Criswell signing off.